The wind howled like a dying beast, biting at my exposed skin as I trudged through the endless expanse of the frozen wasteland. My breath came in ragged gasps, each one crystallizing in the air before me. I had been lost for days, my supplies dwindling, my hope fading with every step. The planet, Zorath, was a barren, icy hellscape, and I had been foolish to think I could survive it alone. But then, just as I was about to collapse from exhaustion, I saw them. At first, I thought it was a mirage, a trick of the mind brought on by hypothermia. A group of figures moved gracefully across the ice, their forms silhouetted against the pale, ghostly light of the planet's twin moons. As I drew closer, I realized they were women, but not human. Their skin shimmered with an iridescent sheen, like the surface of a frozen lake under sunlight. Their hair, long and flowing, seemed to defy the wind, moving as if underwater. They wore garments made of some strange, translucent material that clung to their bodies, offering little protection from the cold, yet they moved with ease, as if the freezing temperatures were nothing to them. I called out to them, my voice cracking from disuse. They turned as one, their eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. For a moment, I feared they might attack, but instead, they approached me with a curious, almost childlike fascination. One of them, taller than the rest and adorned with intricate ice-like jewelry, stepped forward. She placed a hand on my chest, and I felt a strange warmth spread through my body, driving away the cold. She spoke, her voice melodic and alien, yet somehow I understood her. "You are lost," she said. "Come with us." The tribe's village was unlike anything I had ever seen. It was carved into the side of a massive glacier, its structures made entirely of ice. Yet, despite the apparent fragility of their homes, they seemed sturdy and warm. The women led me inside, and I was struck by the beauty of their world. The walls glowed faintly, illuminated by some internal light source, and the air was filled with the soft hum of their strange, melodic language. They called themselves the Krythari, and they had lived on Zorath for millennia, long before humans had even dreamed of space travel. Their society was entirely female, a fact that both fascinated and unnerved me. When I asked about men, their leader, the tall woman who had first spoken to me, simply smiled and said, "Men do not survive here. The cold consumes them." Over the next few days, I learned more about their way of life, and it shocked me. The Krythari were not just adapted to the cold, they thrived in it. Their bodies generated an internal heat that allowed them to withstand temperatures that would kill a human in minutes. They drew sustenance from the ice itself, using a combination of ancient technology and innate abilities to extract nutrients and water. But what truly stunned me was their method of reproduction. The Krythari did not need men to procreate. Instead, they used a process they called the merging. When a Krythari woman reached a certain age, she would enter a sacred chamber within the glacier, where she would merge her essence with the ice. Over time, a new life would form, growing within the glacier until it was ready to emerge. The child would be a perfect copy of its mother, carrying all her memories and knowledge. It was a form of immortality, a way for the Krythari to ensure their survival in this harsh, unforgiving world. I was both awed and horrified by this revelation. The idea of a society without men, without the need for traditional reproduction, was something I could barely comprehend. Yet, as I spent more time with the Krythari, I began to see the beauty in their way of life. They were a peaceful, harmonious people, free from the conflicts and struggles that plagued human society. They lived in perfect balance with their environment, taking only what they needed and giving back to the ice that sustained them. But not everything was as idyllic as it seemed. One night, as I lay in the chamber they had given me, I overheard a conversation between two Krythari women. They spoke in hushed tones, their voices tinged with fear. I strained to listen, catching fragments of their words. "The ice is weakening," one said. "The merging is failing. We cannot let the outsider know," the other replied. he must not see our weakness. The next morning, I confronted their leader, whose name was Ilara. At first, she denied it, but when I pressed her, she finally relented. The Krythari were dying. The ice that had sustained them for so long was melting, their sacred chambers collapsing as the planet's climate shifted. The merging was becoming more difficult, and fewer children were being born. They had hoped that I, as an outsider, might have a solution, a way to save them. I felt a deep sense of guilt. I had come to their world as an explorer, a scientist, but I had brought nothing but destruction. The technology that had allowed me to survive on Zorath had also contributed to the planet's warming, accelerating the melting of the ice. I had unwittingly become part of their downfall. In the weeks that followed, I worked tirelessly with the Krythari to find a solution. We experimented with their technology, trying to stabilize the ice, but it was no use. The planet was changing, and there was nothing we could do to stop it. Ilara and the others grew increasingly desperate, their once serene faces now etched with worry. One night, Ilara came to me with a proposal. "There is one way," she said. "But it is dangerous, and it may cost you your life." She explained that deep within the glacier, there was a core of pure, ancient ice, a remnant of Zorath's primordial past. If we could harness its power, we might be able to reverse the damage and save the Krythari. But the journey would be perilous, and the core's energy was unstable. It could kill me, or worse. I didn't hesitate. I had come to care deeply for the Krythari, and I couldn't bear the thought of their extinction. Together, Ilara and I ventured into the heart of the glacier, battling freezing temperatures and treacherous terrain. When we finally reached the core, I was awestruck by its beauty, a massive, pulsating crystal of ice, radiating a cold, blue light. Ilara instructed me on how to activate the core, warning me that the process would be excruciating. As I placed my hands on the crystal, I felt a searing pain shoot through my body, as if my very soul was being frozen. I screamed, but I didn't let go. The core's energy surged through me, and I felt myself being torn apart, piece by piece. When I awoke, I was back in the village. The Krythari surrounded me, their faces filled with relief and gratitude. The ice had stabilized, and the merging had begun anew. But I could feel that something was different. My body was colder, my movements slower. I looked at my hands and saw that they shimmered faintly, like the skin of the Krythari. Ilara explained that the core's energy had changed me, bonding me to the ice in a way that no human had ever experienced. I was no longer entirely human, but I wasn't Krythari either. I was something in between, a bridge between their world and mine. In the end, I chose to stay with the Krythari. My old life seemed distant and meaningless compared to the beauty and harmony of their world. I had found a new purpose, a new family. And though I knew I would never truly be one of them, I was content.